All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. Welcome to our first micro webinar hosted by Shopify Plus. We've got a great panel with us here today. So without further ado, I will pass it on to our host for today, Annie from Shopify Plus. Annie, take it away.
Thanks, Jess. Well, we have already said our welcomes, but hi everyone and welcome again to the first of a series of micro webinars called Together We Thrive. We're joined today by Robin Smith, CEO of VL OMNI, Donna Simino, Head of Customer Experience at NOSTO, Paul Helian, CTO and co-founder at ROCKWELL, Gabe Macaluso, Director of Customer Experience at OMNISEND. And I'm Annie Schoen, your host and program manager at Shopify Plus. Today's topic is, what does buying direct-to-consumer mean for businesses beyond a pandemic? So to give a little bit of context on Shopify's side, Shopify has been seeing the resilience of merchants big and small through these very difficult times by having to pivot quickly and getting themselves online. Even household brands like Heinz and Lindt, who traditionally relied heavily on brick and mortar channels and distribution, had to move quickly and made the decision to get themselves launched on Shopify Plus in less than a week. So obviously the pandemic is drastically changing the way that businesses operate right now. But what does it mean to buy direct to consumer for them after we go back to some sort of new normal? Robin, can you start the conversation and share some of your thoughts on that?
Sure can, Annie. Thanks for certainly having us. I think really quickly to the point, you're going to see two things. One is that you're going to see companies start to take e-commerce seriously. I think up till now, it's been a lip service channel for a lot of organizations, particularly those that have relied on the B2B space. And we're seeing that in our business where a lot of B2B companies are looking at e-com. I think the other thing that is directly related to that is that companies are really going to have to start taking the strategy around e-commerce seriously. And what that means is cleanliness of data, cleanliness of product information, making sure that the supply chain is optimized for e-com, and all of those things that go into an e-com play. So I think those are the two things that we're going to see.
Yeah, that's great. That's very true. I think that obviously this pandemic is going to have everlasting changes, and I think taking obviously DTC seriously is definitely an everlasting effect. Donna, can you go ahead and share some of your thoughts on what do you think, how it will impact business going forward?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me today. So let's see, what does it mean for like D2C beyond the pandemic? We're seeing like traffic, sales, and conversion rates are up, almost stable from pre-COVID times. The data is suggesting that overall AOV is down, from anywhere between 10 to 15%, which points to the brands providing higher discounting to keep their customers engaged throughout this time. NOSTO works predominantly with D2C brands, and we have a pretty good understanding of the impact on their businesses during this pandemic. The smaller D2C brands run a very lean team, which allows them to be nimble and quickly make the changes necessary to their site and business model as a whole. So with tools like NOSTO and even further like strong SIs like ROCKWELL, our merchants are able to make changes quickly and personalize on-site and off-site experience to their customer base to keep the loyalty engagement high during this time. So what I think it means for post-COVID is that we have been seeing a shift kind of in the ecosystem and somewhat of a changing of the guards, and almost to the point where D2C brands are leading the way and everyone is kind of keeping an eye on what they're doing, and the industry is tending to shift that way. So yeah, during this time, while customers are having more time to spend shopping online, the D2C brands are really shining and taking advantage of this traction.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's embarrassing the amount of online browsing that I do today. So I can't imagine, for someone else that's hanging at home. So definitely, I can see that. Paul, I know you would have some interesting thoughts to share on this topic. So we'd love to hear them.
Muted.
I think you're muted. If you want to mute yourself.
Apologies, technical person here, nothing technical. Yeah, I echo the previous two comments. That the e-com channel is not going to be an offshoot; it's going to be the main channel, and everything else will come from it and derive from that. So the way you run your business has to have e-com at its core. But I think the coming out of the pandemic, I don't think we're going to come out of the pandemic. I think this is going to be a new world where you have to be at the forefront of how you do logistics and delivery and nuanced capabilities of that when it comes to curbside pickup, multi-ship, split ship, just having a really aggressive free shipping and chatbot customer service kind of nod to how people want to get their products is not going to be separate you anymore. It'll just be like the basics. Excuse me. So to really push your product or your brand on, you need to really be authentic. I think the way people look at products, I work a lot in fashion, and fast fashion I think is probably a bad word these days. And I see the authenticity, the value, and the product durability, the type of products you sell. People's taste will change to really make that more important to your buying sensibilities. And I think the community is going to be one of your biggest advocates. I see a lot of our brands spending an awful lot of money on customer acquisition, and they can do that now because you can really overspend in that area and get traffic. But if everyone's looking to have a really strong marketing campaign to get you customer acquisition, I think that's going to be an even more populated environment. So it's going to be very, very difficult to pay your way through marketing. I think you have to be really authentic and offering your customers a real chance to advocate for your brand, and they're going to be your biggest advocates. I don't see influencers being the same sort of advocate as your own community, your own DTC footprint really being how you're going to drive your business on.
Perfect. Yeah, agree with all of that. I think that, we're seeing definitely, obviously, the customer acquisition costs go up online, and being authentic is more important than ever when we see so many targeted ads a day. You can't scroll 2 thumbs without seeing another ad. So having a loyal community and a community that can advocate for the brand is definitely going to be more important than ever. So Gabe, we saved the best for last. We'd love to hear some of your thoughts on our topic today.
No, and I again appreciate the invite today, and everyone kind of set it up perfectly for the points I wanted to make. We talk about this authenticity and the ability of leveling up. I think a lot of D2C brands kind of started resting on their laurels a little bit, right? It's easy to kind of say, well, I've got the abandoned cart workflow going, I've got browse recovery emails and welcome series going, but now we've got to take it a next step further and really talk about how we're going to optimize those automations to really kind of target people. So using software like NOSTO and putting those additional personalized touch is really going to kind of feed what consumers are now looking for. Because we've been so quarantined and have been at home, the thing that we're craving the most is that experiential, through the online channel. So, anything from hitting people with a pop-up and being smart about what's the timing of the pop-up, how are you incentivizing the sign up, are you offering a discount, or what sort of add-on are you adding as to why people would want to sign up for your email. And then through that whole welcome series of being able to track people. I think Tommy John does a great job of this, the underwear brand, where from the very first get-go, they say, are you male or female? And then they customize that welcome message with, an email from their male founder and an email from their female founder based on that preference. So just those little touches is going to be something that was basic to implement, but a lot of people didn't do it. And now it's going to become a necessity. And it's really going to be about optimizing those utilizations. And then you go all the way through, abandoned cart, those types of things. And I think the other piece of it, especially with shipping delays, being proactive in our communication about those types of things. It's, if you're at a mechanic shop and you're waiting for your car to be repaired, you feel much better if the mechanic comes out and tells you what's going on and says, hey, it's gonna be a little bit longer. Same thing we have to do as e-commerce brands and D2C is, hey, we got a little bit of delay. If you get that proactive touch, you're saving time with customer support calls and all those types of things. And just having those gentle experiential touches. One of the local bars here in Durham, North Carolina has done a phenomenal job of sort of pivoting, going, hey, we have a cocktail bar, we've shut down. They threw up a little online shop where they are actually selling and shipping cocktail kits for people to come pick up. And then they're doing regular Instagram happy hours. So you've gone from this like sole brick and mortar location that's about bringing people together in community, and they've completely shifted their model to where they still have that community. They're still able to do it. And one of the things you can purchase on their site is a tip for the bartender that's showing you how to make the drinks. And it's, you know, done such a good job of just really kind of shifting that mindset. And these other D2C brands and new players in this D2C market are really going to push the envelope and really force everyone to level up in their experiential marketing, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And like even just going back to that point that you hit on, is even that local bar there. I mean, creating community and bringing that experience online is like such an important part of, I think, you know, kind of pivoting to, I mean, doing the best with what we can and what we have right now. So, and I think that's what most merchants are doing today. I mean, if we look at everybody that is going online or went online in the last 2 months, you know, it's out of necessity. It's not because, you know, this was a project that was thought about, you know, before that. So, yeah, like I agree with all of that. We have probably 5 extra minutes for us to just chat. I know we had kind of forced you guys to, you know, take a very, very dense and interesting topic and really condense it down to a couple of sentences. But I mean, now we're, you know, in free for all. So if anyone wants to share any extra thoughts on that, I'd love to hear it, and maybe we can even have a discussion about it.
Sure, I can start.
Oh, go ahead, Rob. You first.
Sort of throw out our experience here at home. We've been in the lockdown now. We're in our 9th week. So we closed our office March 16th. I think this past 2 weeks, we've had an e-com delivery at the house every single day. And some days, 2 boxes have shown up. So I think the days, to speak to everybody's, thing about experiential communication, we've seen things that are all over the place. Crappy websites aren't going to cut it anymore. Lack of communication isn't going to cut it. And because customers are going to demand a higher level. So people have got to put their budgets in place that are serious budgets to be able to do this. And they can't think of e-com as an afterthought. So, yeah,
I think following on from that, we're going to see a refocus on something Donna mentioned earlier. The average order value is going down, but I think lifetime order value is going to be such a focus, like the authenticity of your customer. You know, getting someone to come on and buy something once is not going to be good enough. You have to get a committed advocate and someone who's coming back and purchase again and again, because the acquisition costs are going to be so high, as well as the use of physical stores. I think will be very different moving forward. I don't see anyone in my area in New York signing a 10-year lease for a new brick and mortar if your main channel is online, and using brick and mortar or pop-up stores or ways to connect to the customer physically is going to become a different model than, oh, I've got my physical store now I need to get online. It's online, and then how do I pop up and get my product in front of people more often, but not with the overhead of running a physical store 24/7, 365. You know, I think how we do physical is probably going to change quite dramatically as well.
Yep, I would agree.
I think just like personal thoughts on this as well. I think the anticipation for a pop-up is like really interesting, and I think that's not something that had always existed. I mean, perhaps it's, you know, for a younger generation, but I'm seeing a lot of like countdowns to pop-ups, kind of like reminders that, you know, it's only here for a limited time. I think that scarcity is also something that's really interesting for this generation or buyers right now. So, and I'm obviously speaking like personally, right? That's something that gets me really excited. But I think, yeah, like having a 10-year lease on something might change, obviously after the pandemic, especially as people focus more on their online strategy.
Yeah, I think we also have to remind ourselves too that in terms of marketing and going after your customers or new customers and getting them to come back and buy again, is if you don't, other brands are going to sell to your customers. And so while it's important to be sensitive and, you know, not come off as crass, like people are still sending sale emails every day. You know, you look at brands like Pura Vida and Tom's that are more social conscious, they've still had their spring sales. They're still pushing product. They're still selling, and people are still buying. Like they wouldn't be doing those things unless they were working. So the ROI is there. And so having those types of campaigns is still very important to the success of the business. And, you know, one of the things that we talked about as well is, you know, we all got our stimulus checks and the government money. Like that money is designed to be spent and put back into the economy. It's not meant to just sit in our savings accounts. It's meant to put money back into the economy, keep people working. So on both sides, don't hesitate to promote the sale and don't hesitate to have people buy from you to fulfill if you can.
Awesome. I love that. Gabe, I think that was the best note to end on because we're at 15. But thank you so much, everyone, to all our panelists for sharing your thoughts. I think you've left a very, very good points for our audience to think about. And thank you to our audience for tuning in of our first in our series of webinars on Together We Thrive. This will be recorded and sent to everyone if you want to view it at a later time. But thanks again. And I think that's all we have.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you
everyone.
guys.
Thanks, Annie.
Everybody.
Thanks, Annie.